Was it Sept or Sept? Okay.
Welcome, everyone.
That's as loud as it goes, unfortunately. I can read right into that. The other
I will. Thanks for being here to celebrate today the remarkable life of Evan F. My name's Dan McLean Jr., and I'm a humanist officiant, which means that I help people to create meaningful ceremonies with no religious content. And my favorite humanist slogan is think for yourself, act for everyone. Seems to me a pretty responsible way to think. Before we begin, I wanted to let you know you might notice a little bit more air traffic today. As many of you know, Evan was passionate about flying and was a beloved member of the Brampton Flying Club, only 7 kilometers away. And some of his friends from there may be flying over today and tipping their wings at us in tribute to Evan. So if you spot some up there, channel your inner Superman and just look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's a wonderful tribute to Evan. The violinist we're honored to have with us today, Rod, is a violinist from Niagara-on-the-Lake, and he's playing many selections, among other things, by Andre Rieu, of whom Terry and Evan are huge fans. Some call them groupies. They've flown to Boston to see him, and he's really doing a marvelous job. Thank you, Rod. So, at 97, Evan was still mowing his lawn, fixing things, still believing in tomorrow's possibilities. That spirit, that refusal to let age dim his curiosity or joy, captures everything we're here to celebrate. Today we'll share a story of Evan's extraordinary journey, invite your memories and reflections, and take time for personal farewells. This isn't about saying goodbye. It's about celebrating a man who turned a train ride into a love story, a basement into an airplane hangar, and an ordinary day into an adventure. So let's begin. For those who already know it, the train story is pure magic, isn't it? Evan meets someone thinking he'll never see that beautiful girl again. Then, 10 years later, on a train back home from Athens, he looks up, and there she is. Evan says, I know that beautiful woman. It was like the universe had been saving her just for him. Overseas love letters, an invitation to leave Greece to build a new life in Canada, and over 60 years with that same beautiful woman, Terry. Terry, the love of his life, his future. Ethics and Science wasn't just a business, it was a manifesto. It was Evan's love letter to curiosity. It was his way of sharing wonder. Telescopes that brought the stars closer. Educational toys that sparked young minds. It was his way of saying, life is amazing. And here are the tools you can use to prove it. And there's more than this. There's mystery and beauty and infinite possibility. Ethics and Science was Canada's largest telescope retailer. But that's like calling the Hubble Space Telescope a pair of binoculars. This was innovation incarnate. A solar heated facility with a giant telescope on the roof. And oh, did I mention the airplane? This airplane thing amazes me. Who builds an airplane in their basement? Evan Efson builds an airplane in his basement, because why not? Because dreams aren't supposed to fit in conventional spaces. They can't. Because sometimes we have to literally build our way to the sky. He constructs a dream home for Terry, planning for a future where their spirits would always be lifted. Solar panels before they were trendy, an elevator for when climbing stairs might become impossible, and a swimming pool because life should have moments of pure joy. Every detail reflected in what appears to have been part of his philosophy: prepare for the future, but never stop living in the present. Evan built things because that's when you see the world as a collection of problems waiting for elegant solutions. The airplane in the basement was just Evan being Evan, seeing a problem, gravity, and deciding to personally solve it. The way he looked at a basement and saw an airport. The way he looked at the night sky and thought, people should see this. The way he looked at his life and decided it should be exactly as big and bright and surprising as he could possibly make it. Manage your time, money, and emotions, he told Nick and Terry, because Evan understood something most people don't. Life isn't about what happens to you. It's about how you respond to what happens to you. Evan was a man who woke up every morning expecting something wonderful to happen. And then he made sure it did. Something about Evan, and this is particularly important, he wasn't extraordinary because everything came easily to him. He was extraordinary because he made everything look easy. There's a humongous difference. But here's what I really love about what I've learned about Evan. He never stopped being curious. Most people get to a certain age and decide they know enough. They've learned enough. They're done growing. Not Evan. At 97, he was still inventing things, still fixing things, still mowing his lawn, still loving life, and still loving Terry and his children and his grandchildren. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming here today to honor Evan and Terry and their family. And now I'd like to invite up Nick's daughter, Irene.
Hi, everybody. This is really special. Just really so special. Thank you, everyone, for coming. It means a lot. And there's an ancient Greek proverb: "A beautiful life does not end in death, but begins in memory." There's so many memories when we were setting up everything and just going through everything. I encourage you actually to go through the house and look at all the pictures, because Dad loved to take photographs, and we feel like he's here with us, because we see pictures everywhere. He loved taking pictures, and in fact, before Nick and I were born, and Mom had just come to Canada, Dad was making some extra money. He was an industrial engineer, but at night and then the weekends, he would crash weddings with his instant Polaroid camera and take pictures of people and then sell them to them. So that was when the Polaroid camera first came out, and those instant pictures were amazing. People were, and he'd even crash New Year's Eve parties, and Mom would have to stay home with the babies with Nick and I. But then he was coming home with piles of cash. So that was the entrepreneurial spirit that my dad always had. And if you've had a look at the table, we're talking about inventions. This here is the first clock radio. He made in 1955 in Greece. So he took this and put a little the circuit to turn on a radio that you plug in here so you can wake up to a clock radio. So that's 1955. Yeah. Now this one's fun. And the name, I love the name. This one's called the Sopojoglu. This is it makes foam out of the soap, your dish soap. So you don't have to wait for it to suds up. All the suds come right out of here. And then, Mom was a model, the hand model, to show how it worked. And and then he had this is a prototype, and he made this and was always wanted to manufacture something. So then he did. This here, this is the lock-up plug. This is actually a patent. He patented this, and it's you plug in an appliance, and you push it in, and you spin this, and you have to have the combination to use the appliance. So it's the perfect like child-proofing or gaming before gaming, right? So yeah, and so it's
Bar fridge.
Bar fridge, exactly. So with that, it says, you can come and take a look at these because it says Epston Manufacturing Company Limited on it. EMC, Epston Manufacturing Company. That was his first company. So the inventiveness in his building, he was always thinking, inventing, always ahead of his time. And with Epston Science, he wanted to make holograms. And he was curious about holograms, so he went to buy a laser from Metrologic, and they said, well, we can't sell you just one laser. So he went to Edmund Scientific and met Norman Edmund, who was the founder, and he said he wanted to buy a laser. Then they started talking, and then after a while they realized that they had so much in common and so many ideas that came together that Norman Edmund said to my dad to become the Canadian distributor for Edmund Scientific on a handshake. So it was a catalog business, and they opened the store with Mom right from the beginning in 1970, and it grew from there. So I encourage you to, inside in the solarium, there's a photo album of all the different history of Epston Science, and it's just been really nice to be able to share that. We have some stupid pictures of me in these albums, so it's a lot. It's a lot to share them. Okay, so please go in and have a look, and even poke around the house because, I've been staying here a lot. I've been fortunate that I've had the time, and I can work from here and spend the time and get to know my parents even more. And being around the house and seeing the memories, it means a lot that you're all here too, and I want you to also go through and you can see their lives right there on display. Now, just to talk about the house, this is definitely the dream house that they worked very hard, and it was kind of a retirement project because Dad couldn't just sit still. He has to build a house if he's not working. So they knew he wanted to be here until their late years, and built with the elevator. And funny story, one time just out somewhere, and I get a call, and Mom and Dad are stuck in the elevator together, both of them. Why do they have to take the elevator together? And luckily there was a phone in there, so they phoned, Irene, hi, we are in the elevator. Maybe you can come to get us out. So I drive up, half an hour, 45 minutes. I open the door, and they're just laughing. I have the best picture. It was really funny. So they had each other to talk to. They were in the elevator maybe over an hour and a half. There was a phone in the elevator. That was lucky. So lucky. And it was connected to the landline. So also and that elevator has been a lot. Ephraim here, he's been a really great friend to my dad. And when they wanted to charge us $10,000 to fix it, he said, no, I'm calling Ephraim. So as an electrical engineer, he came here, and they were really good friends, and their brains would work really hard together, and they fixed the elevator, and you could go ahead and try it. You won't get stuck. So thank you, Ephraim, and thank you for being here. So now, yes, I'm glad that Dawn mentioned the flight planes. If you look here, I went to the Brampton Airport last week, and they had Airport Day, which was open for families and people having rides. I got a chance to meet the chief flight instructor and some other people, and I gave them these flyers. You know, see how I did that? And they had I gave them to their members and encouraged them. So if you see people coming over and tilting their wings, that's a little tribute to Dad. And that reminds me just a really funny story that when he has his first plane, he had it at the Buttonville Airport, which is near Maple. And when I was 16, we would go and hang out and we said, okay, let's go for a fly and a picnic. So we went up to Collingwood and then came back, and I didn't drive, so I was like, Dad, you know, I wanted to go see a movie with my friends. But you know, I can't drive. I don't want to make you leave. He said, I'll fly you down there. So we go to the Island Airport in Toronto. And at that time, it wasn't what's it called, Porter, and it wasn't as busy. They allowed private pilots. And so I remember having my headphones on with Q107, and we're flying past the CN Tower to get to the island, and I swear to God, the Who came on. I can see for miles. That came on. And it's such a clear memory, and I remember it so well, and just saying, Dad, you should hear this. And then we flew in, it landed, he said goodbye, and I got on the ferry and made my way up to Eglinton Station and met my friends. I go, yeah, my dad just dropped me off. So yeah, there's a lot of special times like that, and a lot of plane stories, a lot of stuff at the store. We worked well together. Well, not so great, not me and him, but he worked really well with my brother, my mom as his right hand, and you know, controlling all the money. Complete trust. He had no idea really what was going on with the money because he trusted Mom so much, and the partners that they were for life. They were the cutest couple. I think, and especially when they always wore beige together. They always were so cute. So I just want to thank everybody for coming today and sharing this celebration. Dad hated funerals. He would have not wanted one. He wouldn't have wanted to be in a church, or he would have wanted to be here today doing this. And I think he is. He's here, and it feels like he's here with us. So thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. So now I'd like to introduce my brother, Nick. And yeah, he has stories, too.
Hello, everybody. First, I want to thank Irene for pulling this together. Most of what you see here was her I guess we contributed a lot, but it was really her brainchild, and she did a lot of work. And well, yeah, of course, but Irene did a great job, and thanks for everybody for coming in. As Irene said, my dad would have loved to be here, and he was really would have been great to see everybody here. He loved these things. But what I want to do is actually tell you a little bit about my dad's misadventures in flying, which everybody tells about great, you know, all these great stories. I'm going to tell you a few stories really briefly about things that happened that what I thought were great stories because I was involved in, because I usually had to go pick him up with or without his airplane and drag him back. So the first of the stories is involved his kit plane. This is his kit plane, and this is the one he built and flew and crashed a few times. So it was called the Avid Flyer, and these planes were, as I mentioned, are kit planes where you have to build 51% of the plane. So it came with detailed instructions on how you should put them together, right? And you really shouldn't deviate from these plans for obvious reasons. So, but my dad always thought, I could do better than that. Like the first mishap was around when he decided to change the engine of the airplane. It came specified with a Rotax engine, but he didn't like it, so he put a Subaru engine in it, and he ended up in a cornfield in the middle of nowhere due to engine failure. And it was lucky because a farmer saw him come down and came and got him. And my dad called me up, and I came and got him. The good thing about this plane was it's very convenient because you could actually fold the wings back, and he could be towed out of anywhere, and it'd be towed away. So it was really, really, really convenient, especially for this particular day in a cornfield. So when we tried to, it was kind of inconvenient because we had to go get the airplane out of the cornfield, and we had to drive in and out, and we kind of ruined a whole bunch of the guy's corn, right? So listen, can we pay you something? He said, listen, buddy, you got to come down, you got to land, right? And so he was a nice guy, and it was, and the next incident with the Avid Flyer actually involved a landing gear. He didn't like the landing gear because it was this bungee system. So it was a kind of the tire was tied in the end with a fuselage, and it looked kind of Mickey Mouse to him, right? As bungee cord, right? So he decided to build his own spring system, right? So he actually machined his own springs and made this whole elaborate engineering drawings and everything behind it. And because those bungee things just weren't cool enough, so he put he fabricated these spring systems. He put it on. First landing didn't work. Basically the landing system gave away because it didn't have enough travel. He didn't calculate that much of it, and when he hit the ground, the landing gear broke. The wing hit the ground. And the tank was, the gas tank was on top, and the gas was pouring all over him, right? And at this time he goes, okay, I think I'll stick to the instructions. So this time I actually had to drag him out with a trailer, and it was all messed up, and he actually ended up selling the salvage and buying it back. And he ended up ahead at the end of that, but that's another story. And the last misadventure he had, this is my favorite, is involving when he had the Cessna 150. It was about 15 years ago. This has to do more about trusting the weather report. And it was a beautiful, actually, Sunday afternoon. It was probably exactly like this. This time of year as well. It was in the fall. He was sitting inside, and he listened to the weather report. And it showed that it was going to rain, and there was a big storm coming. And he was looking outside. My mom was downstairs doing laundry and a few things. And so he looked around and said, doesn't look so bad. So he wanders over to the airport, which is Brampton Airport. It's just down the street here. And he got there, and he looked around, and he said, I'm gonna take off. What's the big deal? If it gets kind of rainy, I'll land. So he actually went to the as he was taking off, you usually have to call into air traffic control and say you're taking off. And there wasn't even anybody at air traffic control, right? So no one was there. Everyone knew the rain was coming, right? So, well, he took off anyways. Well, as soon as he gets to 3,000 feet, huge front was behind him. This is massive, right? And you could just see it, and it was coming fast. So his little plane can only do about 100 miles an hour. He tried to gun it. Not even close. This thing was coming, and when he decided he had to go to Buttonville because there's nobody here, so he's driving east, and he's being thrown around in his little plane. He's jumping up and down like 20 feet back and forth, and he told me if he didn't have a 5-point harness on, he would have been on the ceiling and on the floor and on the ceiling, and he would have been knocked out. But so he gets to Buttonville, and they say, listen, you can't land here. It's too powerful, and it's hail. And it's terrible. You got to keep going to Markham Airport. So he said, they said, go to Markham Airport, hope for the best, but plan for the worst, right? And that's what they told him. So so he, so he's like going, okay, I got to make the Markham Airport, which is a tiny airport. It only has one runway, and he's got to hit that runway properly. And he looks down, and he's right in front of the 407. So he goes, I'm going to land on the 407. So he's lining up for the 407, right? And he's going to land. And he's going to land with with cars coming towards you, because when they see you, they can get out of the way, right? So, and then at the very last minute, he gets clearance from Markham. You can come in, and you know they're giving me a hard time, like because they actually had to wake somebody up to the air traffic control. It was a real mess. And then so they got him down. Actually, you know, so he's deviates from the 407 because he was really on an approach, right? He was coming down hard, and he managed to deviate, and he landed safely at Markham Airport. So, and I had he called me, and it was Sunday night, and phone rings, it's a cell phone, and I'm like, okay, Dad, where are you? He goes, oh, how did you know? Like, come on, Dad, it's Sunday night. You know, it's the only time you call me, right? So I just wanted to share a couple of those stories because, and I know he didn't like me talking about them too much. So I just want to finish with that, and I want to thank everybody for coming today. And please take lots of pictures, because my mom wants to see everybody that was here. Thank you.
How old was your dad when he landed in Markham there?
That would have been, he must have been about 80, yeah, late 70s, early 80s. Yeah. Thank you. Oh, sorry. I'd like to introduce my wife, Carrie, and my daughters, Eva, Nolan, and Kara.
Hey everybody. Okay, yeah, those speeches were very nice. Like, I really like those speeches, especially the part about like the dream house. Like when I was little, like, cause I've known them since obviously like I was born, and like they always lived in this house. And like when me and my sister were little, yo, this backyard, like this was so like magical. Obviously it's still magical, but when you're younger, everything is like more magical. So when I was little, like this place was like, I swear I was a fairy, yo, like we were fairies, like, yeah, but yeah, this was like such a nice place to be, especially when you're growing up, you know. And like I remember sleeping over here all the time with my sister, and I don't know, we had fun. Like in the elevator, we would go in the elevator for fun. Like that was just fun for us, you know. So yeah, very nice speech. Eva, do you have anything to add?
Here we go. So they're gonna share a card that we made for Papu on his 95th birthday, and it was entitled 95 Things We Love About You. So we're not gonna go, we went to, I think we went to 45 and then skipped to
We got
95.
95 reasons, guys.
But they're gonna mention a few of them after.
Okay, wait, let me go through that. Okay, one of them says you are the smartest man on the planet. That's definitely true, because how is this guy inventing clocks? Like, I cannot take that. Yo, why is he filming? Okay, what else?
The next one is taught us to control our emotions, which I feel is really true, because he was really wise, and whenever any incidents or like arguments would happen here, he would always like take control and just teach us how to just react better to each other.
Another one is you are a great photographer. That's definitely true. He would always set up his iPad, take lots of family photos during dinner. Also, obviously he was a photographer like for money, I'm pretty sure. No. Okay.
Professional.
Okay, professional photographer.
Okay, some say you are wise and loving, which obviously is very true, and a big reason why he was like the best Papu ever. And the other one says you are calm and you have patience, which all was just part of his persona and is a really big part. And I feel that helped me and Kara just grow up in a good space.
Yeah. We would also, okay, he was also like, someone said something about him being very curious. Like, he definitely was. He was always like reading new books, even at his such old age. And I remember my mom also one time for Christmas gave him like a Lego set to build an airplane, but it was just a Lego set. So it was just like, you know, a fun little thing to do.
And
Yeah. Okay, but
That's the last one.
I think there's
Yeah.
one more, guys.
Okay. Another one says you measure me and Kara, and that is actually true. Like every month we would come, he would measure us on the wall to keep track of our growth. Okay, yeah, that's.
Okay, yeah, that's
those
all. That's the
are-
list, guys. Thank
those
you.
are some of the lists.
Thanks very much, everyone. That was great. Great stories, really wonderfully told. Speaking of great stories, and they don't have to be that wonderfully told. If anyone would like to come up and speak something, I'm sure we'd all love to hear it. No pressure. I'm not asking you to do it right now. If you'd like to come up, just come on up, and I'll help you get ready. And shortly, we'll hear a little bit from Terry. But for now, the mic is open to all of you. So welcome.
Anyone good stories? Bad stories? Really, so if anyone can make it.
Driving on the 407 one day, and this plane was
Hi everybody, I gotta lower it because I'm really short. Can you guys hear me? Okay, great. So I'm in Green Lopes. I live 2 houses down. And what I remember is about his spirit of family, but also his spirit of friendship and community. I remember we first moved in, it was either our first or second year, and he held a neighborhood barbecue. And a lot of us that are here came to that, and he was the photographer in that. And then he sent us pictures, and he actually printed them out and gave them to everybody. And over the years, we had several get-togethers, and every time he would take the pictures and he would send them out to the neighbors. And I still have one of them that I have up in the house that's displayed. Also him in terms of encouraging science, that when my kids were younger, I remember him giving recently glasses so that they can go see the eclipse, but also some stuff in terms of encouraging science, a science experiment kit. So that was a great spirit that he gave, and memories to my kids as well.
Hello? Can you all hear me?
Right now.
Okay. So I go by Belle. My mom is one of the post office workers in Inglewood. And I wanted to share, because I didn't know Mr. Efson that well, but he was always a part of my life, if that makes any sense. When I was young, my grandfather got really into telescopes, like really into telescopes. We have one that you need like 2 people to carry in our basement still. And he brought me and my mom to Efson Science. And Efson Science was a truly magical place. Just every piece, every thing that was sold, like every step was built with purpose. And I went there a few different times, and then eventually later on my mom becomes a post office worker of Inglewood. And I got at one time what was it, an electronic microscope, I think at the age of 10, from Efson Science, along with numerous other things. I remember there was a planetarium, like poster with all the planets and all the little stars and all the little asteroids, and that filled up my room for many, many years. And but we got an electronic microscope that after a while it had broken down, and then my mom mentioned how Mr. Efson was one of the people that came to the post office, and I asked her if she could bring the microscope in to ask if he could potentially fix it. And within a week, he had brought it back fixed, and just, to me, he was larger than life. He was very much a inspiration. And yeah, thank you so much.
Hello, everybody. I'm Tamara. I live over there, and we were the first house that was put into this subdivision. And Evan and Terry, they came in a second. And the first time we met Evan, it was dark. There was a light on, and they're just building the house, and we hear hammering. My husband says, "We better go over there." And I said, "Well, you're not going alone. I'll go with you." So we came over, and there's Evan, and he's on a ladder. And he's busy, I don't know, he's modifying something, but he's on that ladder. My husband said, "Oh, he's gonna fall down." I said, "No, I don't think so." And so that's how we met for the very first time, is this stranger, and we thought intruder perhaps, was busy modifying his home. Now, Evan has always been very, very gracious to our family, and always very, very generous. And it was a day like today, only more towards Thanksgiving, and the leaves were fantastic, the hills looked great. And Evan said to us at one point in time, "I'm gonna take you all up in my plane." And so we thought, wow, that's really great. And that was going to be the day. It was Thanksgiving. We weren't doing the cooking. Evan was going to do some flying for us and take us up. And so there we went to the airport, and Rosie was all ready, and that was the name of his plane. And unfortunately for me, I get airsick really badly, really badly. And I figured, okay, I'd be the last one to go up, because he had to take us up one by one, because that's all the room he had in this little two-seater. And so I was the last, and my husband went up and came down, and he was smiling. And my 6-year-old went up, and he came down, and he was smiling. And my 3.5-year-old, she went up with the little, she had the earphones on there, and she came down, she gave me the thumbs up. So I thought, great. I get in, I'm all buckled in, the phone's gone, my husband reaches me a plastic bag. And I'm like, wait a minute. I didn't think we were gonna get sick up there. He says, "Oh, just in case." So up we went. I've never been in a small plane like that before, and it was a smooth trail up. And once we got up there, everything was looking great. It was wonderful. And then the air currents hit. And then we were doing this. We were at the mercy of the air. So, and my stomach was at the mercy of the up and down thing. And I said to Evan, I said, "We gotta land." I said, I just can't do this. I'm gonna get sick. He says, "Yeah, okay." So Evan, he looked around. He took me around. He says, "You'll be fine." And gradually he set her down. And I've never been, like I said, I've never had such a smooth landing. It was just like a straight climb down. And when I got down to the bottom, I was violently ill. And I spent that day violently ill. Not through Evan's fault or anybody's fault, it's just me. That's how I am. So anyway, and in addition to that story, I have one more about birds. Armando, come on. Come on. Come on, Armando. Come. No, I'm not telling your story. I'm not telling your story. Come on. Armando. I can't tell. You stand beside me. I'll stand with you. But ultimately, Evan loved birds. He absolutely adored them. And he had a multitude of birds. He had a house, or like a home dedicated to them. Yeah, it's greenhouse. It was lovely. And I had the privilege at some point in time to look after them when they went on vacation. And then I also had one of his parrots at our house. Now I have 4 cats. Okay, so we've got this big parrot, about this big there, and he came with this whole, crate and everything else, and this cage, and he had a blanket you put over it because he got pretty noisy. And I remember my black cat sashaying up there. She was the queen of the group, so she figured she was the first one going to have a look at this and size it up for the cooking pan and everything else. And she went and she had a look at it. The bird let loose on her. That cat, I've never seen a cat puff up like that and take off. She never went near that bird again, ever. So anyway, and like we really enjoyed, well, I enjoyed looking after birds because I like animals as well. But Armando has a story about the birds as well. So I'm going to let Armando tell the story about the birds.
All right. So I was in charge of the birds when they went to Greece a few years back. And Evan made sure that I shouldn't mix them all up, feed them at a certain time. And if any of them came out of the cage, make sure you put the right one in the right place. Well, I think it was the second day into their vacation, I brought my daughter and niece over to take a look at the birds. Well, we opened the door and the birds were everywhere. And I wasn't quite sure where to put them. So we had a butterfly net and tried to put everything in the same place. I could never tell Evan that story, but he did find out eventually. And, yeah, so, I mean, being his neighbor, we've had quite a few stories. Well, also Pluto. You guys all know Pluto. It was the Pluto.
He was a Jack Russell. Pluto was his name.
Pluto was his name. Was it a Jack Russell?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was a poodle, but anyway. Well, Pluto, before we got our cedar hedges there, he flew right over the hedge, and it was Canada Day weekend, and we were having fireworks. Pluto got a hold of one of the fireworks and ran all over the yard with it, shooting everywhere. And I've never seen Evan sprint so quick over to try to help us out. So, yeah. But he was very creative. One time we were fixing something in the pool, and he built some kind of a contraption for me to stand over the pool. I'm afraid of heights. So he went ahead and did it himself. But I watched him. So, yeah, he was a great man.
I'll just stand with a small one.
Hi, my name is Gladys. I'm a neighbor two houses down from here, and we know Evans and Terry for many, many, many years. And Evans was a good friend of my husband, Patrick. And many times he used to tell Patrick, "I'd like to take you up for a ride, but you're a little bit too heavy for my plane." So we knew that he could never take us. "You're too heavy for my plane." Anyway, my husband passed away recently, and I think Evans was upset to hear that because I recently found out when I was going through my phone, I was deleting messages, and I heard his message. And his message was, "Gladys," he says, of course in an accent, very heavy accent, "I want you to call me. I am awake till 12 midnight. Do not hesitate to call me. It's about psychology. I got to talk to you." And so he was trying to tell me because he probably heard that I was very upset, and he wanted to try and talk to me. But I found that after he had passed away. So I just thought I'd share that. That's the most recent. Thank you.
If I may, just a couple little short thoughts. Mr. Efston. I was called him Mr. Efston, not Evan. He's Mr. Efston. So, dear Mr. Efston, my name is Bulent. I'm Nick's fraternity brother. He's also my brother from another mother, my awesome, dear, dear friend. So we've known each other 35 plus years. And I'm Nick's Greek. I'm Turkish, so I'm Nick's first Turkish friend. So Nick's first Turkish friend, I had some wonderful conversations with Mr. Efston over the years, and of course Mrs. Efston. The guy, a brother, didn't really matter, but interestingly, I was Turkish, or I am Turkish. So that led to some interesting conversations, set me down, we had nice chats. Nick and I have a business together, and so over the years we've worked on that with Mr. Efston's input. But it's the memory, even to this day. It's the memories of Efston Science. I don't know how many people here have been to Efston Science. Yeah, most of this room. It evokes such wonderful thoughts and dreams. Like in our cottage, we have an Efston Science telescope. We tried to get it working this summer, but we were missing an eyepiece, and Nick was looking for it. At my mom's condo, there's an Efston Science telescope. When we had someone's birthday and a special occasion, I call Nick, hey Nick, I need a telescope for this, or So generally our first telescopes, our first microscopes, our first little scales to weigh weed, all came from Efston Science. It was a very special place. But walking up those stairs, walking through downstairs, just full of these, telescopes this big, telescopes this big. It was remarkable. Then they'd host, there'd be whatever event, such and such meteor, or I don't know, there'd be something, and there'd be a park where you guys would set up, and 11 o'clock the nerds would show up. There'd be a park full of nerds all talking about the heavens, and fuck, Nick, this is amazing. Who are these people? Where do they come from? How do you know them all? It was always very interesting. But yeah, they had their own world outside of our world. That walking into Efston Science was just so much fun. It was completely just foreign to what we did. And just those thoughts. Still to this day, when I'm driving along the 401, you can't quite see it from the 401, but when the odd time I come down Dufferin, I look at that building, and just such wonderful memories. Oh, fraternity brothers. Guys would need to move. We'd call Nick, hey Nick, can you bring the Efston Science van around? Oh, he'd bring the van around, and he'd load it, and he'd help us move stuff. First jobs for quite a few Zates were at Efston Science. Yeah, just wonderful, beautiful memories. And thank you, Mr. Efston, Mrs. Efston, and Efston family for giving us Efston Science.
Well, thanks very much, everyone. And now for our last guest of the day, Evan's beautiful bride, Terry.
Okay. Can you speak in here? When someone comes to that age, it's different problems. Now for me, it's not very easy to walk. Beautiful stories I could hear from most of the people. And good neighbors, relatives, and good friends. Thank you so much for coming to honor Evan's memory. I miss him every day, but I thought he's around here today. And he's watching over us. I miss him because he was not only my husband, he was my love, my business partner, my good friend for 62 years. Now, I wonder where he is. And I think we're going to have a toast now in his memory. and you have to prepare your drinks.
Raise a glass.
And so I toast in his memory, and I wish all of you health and happiness. Thank you so much for coming. I had people coming from far away, driving from other places. And even I have a very good friend of ours, a couple that came last night from Greece, Dean and Nina Adonakis. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. And God bless you. Thank you. Cheers. Cheers. In Evan's memory.
Thanks, Mom.
So, stay and enjoy yourself here. Help yourself with different things that they have prepared, and enjoy the afternoon with your friends and family. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Please, lots of food. Please. We have an hour. Get on it. Thanks, everybody. Thank
And finally, thanks again, everyone, for coming. As Irene said, there's lots of food. Please help yourselves. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. From Terry, Irene, Nick, and the whole family, to share so much love and so many good memories. And finally, for the rest of today and the rest of your days, be beautiful to each other.
They shut down.
What year is
Thank you.